this strategy was the key for me to become a profitable day trader. I'm trading it every day and it already helped many traders like me to pass one prop firm challenge after another. In this video, I will tell you exactly how I consistently hit A+ setups using just 3 simple steps every day. I will give you several live trading examples on how to find them, execute them properly, and I promise you it is a lot easier than you think. First, I want to show you my trading results from the last month, just to show you what's possible. I had a net P&L of over $40,000 with a win rate around 45%, which is not too high you might say, but the profit factor of 2.37 shows that the reason behind this is that we are trading only setups with a great risk-reward ratio. Okay, enough of that. Let's move on to the question, what can you trade with this strategy? And the answer is anything is possible. You can trade Forex, crypto, stocks, futures, commodities, or anything you want if you follow just 3 simple steps. Another important thing is that we only trade during one of the sessions, Asian, European or US, because we want to trade when there's volatility in the markets. So now let's start with step 1, the daily bias. So for the daily bias, obviously we need the daily chart. You can choose an asset you want. In this case, I'm using Bitcoin as an example. And yeah, what we want to do now is to find out, are we an uptrend or downtrend, to find our daily bias. And therefore, I need to go to the indicators tab and I add the trend bars indicator by TRN Trading to the chart. And this very helpful indicator displays the trend direction by the candle colors. Red candles means downtrend and green candles means uptrend. And the only thing we do now is we look at the current candle color, and this is green. We are still in the green, which means uptrend, and this means that our daily bias for sure is bullish. With this information, we go on to step 2, which is marking out important key levels. And for sure we do this on the same asset, in this case Bitcoin. And what we really have to take a close eye on is the first hour of the trading session. In this case, the New York session, because this is the opening range and this is the time where big players move into the market. And this leads to massive volatility, big price moves. You can see it here. We have at the beginning in the first hour, and after this first hour, after the opening range, we have our most important key levels, the opening range high, which is here, and the opening range low, which is here. It's also the current session high and low for sure. So this is where the magic happens, in the so-called opening range. But we need some more important key levels that are very interesting as well. And this is the current day high, which is here, and the previous day high as well. And then we also need the current day low, which is in this case the same as the opening range low, but I don't have to, and also the previous day low. So why are we marking out all these key levels? Because these are areas of liquidity. Many traders will have placed their stop losses, for example, below the previous day low, or below the opening range low, or the previous day high. And this is what market makers look at. They are pushing prices exactly to these levels to use it as exit liquidity. And with this information, we also know that these are very interesting areas, for example, to place take profit, or also to plan an exit, for example. By the way, the indicator that displays the session for me, the New York session, and also all these important levels, is the price action suit indicator from TRN Trading. It's very helpful to automate the strategy, but if you start with this strategy and get comfortable with it, you don't need this indicator. Mark out the key levels manually, draw the opening range and the session manually. It's very helpful to understand the basics, and if you're getting profitable and comfortable with this strategy, you can still think about getting this indicator and automate the whole thing. Now let's move on to step 3, the entry conditions. And therefore we need to have a close look at the opening range high and the opening range low. because these are areas where the magic happens and where we might catch an entry when price reaches it. So let's see what we get there. Okay, here we have a breakout above the opening range, which is a very nice start. The close above the opening range right here shows us that there's potential that we get a move upwards. And remember, we have a bullish daily bias, so a long entry signal would be the perfect start for this session. Let's see. Okay, we're still moving up, but then the trend bars turn red. This is our chance. And that's not all. The trend bars turn red and they also pull back to the opening range high. What we know is that a resistance that got taken out turns into a support. And if this support holds and we bounce off, it would provide us with a nice entry signal. So let's see. Perfect. We had the pullback, and then after the trend bars turned red, they turned green again. And if they turn green again afterwards, the pullback is confirmed. Another very important thing is that we remained above the opening range high. So really it was a quite perfect pullback. It don't need to pull back the complete way to the opening range high. It's enough if we're getting close to it. So now we can enter a long trade right here. And we do this at the close of the first green trend bar after the pullback. And then we can target one of the key levels, like the current day high. But as you can see, the risk reward ratio of 1.52 is not too good. So we want a better risk reward ratio of at least 3. That's why I'm moving up the target. So that's completely fine. The only important thing is that we have a close look what happens here at these levels. If we get a rejection right here, then I will have to close my long position. But a bit more on this later. Let's see. Okay, breakout above the previous day high with a close above. That's great. Also the current day high. And now let's see if we hit the target. And yeah, okay, this would have been a winning trade. Very nice. So what we do now and what we can see is that we have established a nice uptrend right here, and we already traded one of these pullbacks, right? So if we get another one of these pullbacks to another interesting level, then we can look for another entry. And let's see. Here comes the pullback. And now we have to wait for the first green trend bar again. Here it is. Here it is. I will delete this position. And what we can see here is that we have a nice area right here. A nice high from the past. And the pullback went close enough so we can say, okay, this resistance got taken out, turned into support. We pulled back to the support with red trend bars, and now we bounced off and printed the first green trend bar again. A nice trend following entry signal. And still remember, we have the bullish daily bias, so long signals is great for us. So, and again, let's place a long order right here. The stop loss below the pullback right here. The stop loss below the pullback, same as with the first trade. And then let's again use a risk reward ratio of 3 or even above if you're comfortable with a strong trend. And now let's see. One thing we need to consider is that we are quite close to the end of the session, and this is a day trading strategy, which means we have to close our trade when we reach the end of the session, but it's a valid setup, so let's see how far we get. Okay. Yeah, here we go. Honestly, this was the last bar of the session, so we would have closed right here. So it still is a nice 1.16 risk to reward ratio winning trade for us, but really close it at the end of the session But it's very important to close your trades at the end of the session, because now the volatility will vanish and anything can happen. So it's really just a gamble if you leave it open. Take the profits home and move on. Okay, here's another example, this time with a bearish bias, and therefore we use a very useful feature of the free trend bars indicator, the high time frame feature, which displays the current daily candle for you. And you can see it's a red one, so you know we are on downtrend on the daily chart, and this reminds you of the daily bias you have when you start in this session. And now let's take a look at the opening range. Right after the opening range formed, we instantly had a breakdown below the range, which signals that the price probably wants to go down. But this is not a valid entry, because we want to see a pullback or something like this before we would enter a short trade. Let's see. Okay, price moves down, and then we get the pullback. Okay, now we would need another red trend bar, but no, we get the move inside the opening range higher. So this is invalidated. But let's see if we move up to the opening range high and what happens there. If we get a reversal here, it would be another chance to enter a short. Let's see. Okay, we just took out the opening range high. Now we start to consolidate a bit. That's okay, but we still need a red trend bar to confirm a so-called liquidity sweep. And here it is. So we grab the liquidity above the opening range high, little consolidation, and then the first red trend bar signaling that price wants to go down again. And this is combined with the bearish bias we already have, a very nice short entry signal. So I will place a short right here at the candle close, place it above the new session high, and target the current New York session low. That's a very nice target with a risk reward ratio of around 3, let's say. Okay, let's see how it plays out. Okay, nice move down, but still we're in the greens again. Okay, no, that's not what we want. That's not what we want. Price is going down again. Still some time left till session ends. Okay, that's what we want. Better. Okay. It didn't play out perfectly, honestly. We're at the end of the session, so we have to close this short trade with a risk-reward ratio of around 0.4. It's still a winner, and that's completely fine. We don't need only big winners. It's more important to prevent losses. And as you can see, this is not cherry picking right here. I really looked for the first setups I could find in the charts to use them as an example here. So this is not the perfect trade, but still a winner. So let's move on to the next example from here. Okay, this time we're on the 5-minute chart of NQ. And by the way, you don't need to look for signals only on the 5-minute chart. You can also look on the 15-minute chart or on the 1-minute chart if you need more signals. And yeah, again, we have a bearish bias displayed by this big red candle on the daily chart. And we're using again the high time frame feature of the free trend bars indicator. And if we look at the opening range, we can see that right after the opening range closed, we had a breakdown below and also closed below, which shows us that probably price will continue downwards, and this would match our bearish bias. So it would be nice to get a pullback and then look for a short signal. Let's see. Okay, here we got the pullback, and now we want to have the first red trend bar again. Here it is. Great. Let's enter a short trade here. And I'm taking this example to show you another interesting option. If the risk reward ratio for you is not really good enough, you can enter at the middle of the red trend bar right here. Place the stop loss above the bar and then use a risk reward ratio of 3 again, like this. This is a way just to increase your risk reward ratio if needed. Sometimes you have a level nearby and the risk reward ratio is not good enough, and then you can use this technique to still get a valid signal. Okay, what's happening now? Oh, stop loss nearly hit, but we're still alive, and here we go. This trade was a winner, and now let's see if we get another entry. Okay, this is interesting. We just had a liquidity grab right here. This high got taken out, and if we get a red trend bar afterwards, and if we get a red trend bar now, we have a nice short entry signal. And by the way, if you're struggling to see these highs and lows, then you can use our Zigzag Pro indicator, which displays these highs and lows for you. Yeah, just to mention it, if you're still at the beginning, you can also very well see the structure if you use this indicator, if we are in downtrend printing lower lows, lower highs. So if you're, maybe this is helpful for you, and you can really see that we took out this high, print another higher, printed, and you can easily see that we took out this high, printed another higher high. And now we want to get a further red trend bar as entry signal. Let's see. Here we go. This is our entry signal. So we can enter a short trade here. But the problem is that we are very near to the session end. And what happens afterwards is always a gamble. So it's a bit sad, but for us this time it's too late. So I would not enter this short trade because we're still too close to the end of the session, but I will still show you how it would have looked like. This would be the entry, right? The close of the red trend bar above this high, the stop loss, and then again a risk reward ratio of 3. Or in this case, if you're so close to the end of the session, you still want to trade this signal, then maybe use a risk reward ratio of 2. It's enough then. And then again, if you trade this and you have the last candle before session close, in this case you need to close this position even with a slight loss in this case, but it is how it is sometimes. But in general, if you have such a setup so close to the session end, I would recommend to just not trade this. Okay guys, enough examples for now. I want to talk a bit more about my results, and I will also give you some more tips, especially if you start using this strategy. The November was quite a good month, as you can see here in my TradeZella trading journey, with over 40,000 net P&L, but not any month looks like this. If we, for example, look at the October, you can see still a very good month, nearly $26,000 net P&L. But not as good as the November. And if we go and look at the September, you can see that we have a red month here. And I'm showing you this because I want to be clear about that also with this strategy, you will not always win. You will have these months in between. And especially if you start using this strategy, you cannot expect to have 3 winners right at the beginning or 5 winners in a row right when you start. So you will have losers for sure. And that's why I recommend starting with paper money or with little money, or even just completely simulate the trades in the TradingView replay modus. Just click on replay and then down here choose random bar. And then the chart will jump back to a random bar where you can start trading. You can start analyzing the daily chart, looking for a daily bias, and then go down to the 5-minute chart and then move forward candle by candle and look at the opening range, for example, and continue like this. And till you find a setup. And if you find a setup, you can just enter a trade. You can draw it here in the chart and make sure to journal your results. Maybe just use a Google spreadsheet, that's enough. And then try to get profitable with these simulations. And if you're profitable by simulating these trades for at least 1 month, then you can trade with real money, try to pass a prop firm with this strategy, and so on. And as I said, I want to be completely honest with you guys. This results are from an advanced strategy of the one I showed you in the video, but since a few months I'm trading an upgraded version of the strategy where I use different indicators for automation, some more rules for the daily bias as well. For example, I'm using the Trend Bars Pro indicator, the upgraded version of the Trend Bars, which gives me clean entry signals based on candlestick patterns. I'm using also the swing suit indicator, which displays support and resistance lines for me. As I said, there are some more rules for the daily bias as well, and also different entry models. If you are interested in learning this advanced strategy, I can recommend to book a completely free strategy call with our pro traders from our TRN Trading Academy. They will have a look at where you're currently at regarding your trading, and they will give you a complete plan afterwards inside this strategy call, how you can get to the next step and to profitability. And on top of that, you will get the indicator which displays this opening range right here. It's also very helpful for this strategy. You will get it for completely free. It's called the Opening Range Pro indicator. And the only thing you need to do is join the strategy call for completely free, and for sure you can just win. And with this said, that's it for now. I hope I see you in the next one, guys.